It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Tuesday, April 25th. And this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this wonderful and amazing Tuesday? We've got current news from around the world, the practical word study, and also Provi in the media. All right, everyone, how are you doing today? Yes, it is Tuesday, and I'm super happy and thankful that all of you guys are here today. I hope you guys are enjoying your week and thankful that you have joined us here on another morning on the Morning Star Drive. So, everyone, keep liking and commenting. I want to hear from you guys and see how you're doing. Yes, lots to like and lots to comment, and just preparing more and more programs for you on this channel too. So let's build this community, all right? So, Q&A Thursday, just around the corner. We got 2 days left, so get your questions ready for this week. I will be in flight from today, right? It's going to be like, I'm going to be in the air for a long time, but I will be flying into San Francisco tomorrow overnight, and then I'll be heading over to Vancouver, so I'm super happy about that also. But I'm super excited because I am going to Canada, and it's really interesting just seeing how my mind changes knowing that it's ending. That my time here is ending, right? And this is something that I was thinking about because, like, man, I've been here for 6 months, and now, like, I bought the ticket within like 4 or 5 days, and my time here is so short, and it's so interesting in this short amount of time how quickly my mind changes, right? For the last couple of days, just wrapping everything up. Meeting people, buying the things I need to buy before I go back. Got to do my laundry, got to clean up some stuff. And it's just a lot of different things I'm doing to end this trip well. And a very, very interesting realization I had from this mind shift. So I was thinking, like, man, whenever people end anything, they begin to wrap things up. And it's part of the thing that helps us to bring closure to whatever we've done. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm leaving Malaysia, meeting people, getting things I need to buy before I leave, going to multiple cafes that I haven't gone to yet, and my laundry, buying extra clothes, just making sure everything is done before I leave, right? And that kind of brings closure to my mind as my time here is, and I've done everything I need to do before I leave, right? And, it's kind of very similar, like, even when you think about the larger scale about when we die. Right? Before we die, we're getting close to it. People have a bucket list, things they want to do before they die, right? When they get closer to dying, what happens is they'll write their will, they'll spend more time with their family, right? And like, that's another big thing that people do, like school, you're about to graduate, you reflect back on your 4 years and you give, like, Thanksgiving to God and your parents, and you're just excited, but you have to bring closure to your mind in order for you to properly start the next stage, right? It's the same with the job. Whether you quit the job or you get a promotion, you thank the people that got you there, you say goodbye to the people because you're moving to the next spot or whatever it is, and you introduce yourself to the new team. But when you quit your job, you might be angry, and your closure might be to get mad at someone. But I realized something as in, there's this, when we start to end something, there's this psychological change, this need to end everything properly, right? And it's just kind of like the way our mind works. But I also realize this at more of a miniaturized level when it comes to us wanting to make change in our life. Like, let me give you an example. Like, let's just say you're not doing well in faith, right? You're not doing well in faith. And sometimes in order for you to change your faith quickly, it's good to make like a big change. You know what I mean? Like, they say psychologically, when if everything's always the same, then your mind is always comfortable and it goes to the same spot, like wherever the couch or sofa is. So psychologists will say that, hey, just change the furniture around, right? And what happens is when you start to change the furniture around, you start to clean underneath it, you clean, and you start to do other things, right? To make sure that it's a proper shifting of furniture. But every time you go to the room, you're going to be like, oh, this is new. And it kind of shifts your mindset and mentality, right? So it's just the same thing as me moving to another country again. And, I think it's a great tip for everyone who wants to restart your heart or your mind, if you don't like how things are going, then set a time and say, you know what, in 2 days, I'm going to make big changes. I'm going to change my furniture around, or I'm going to change my job, or I'm going to change, the route I take to work or whatever it is. And you start to prepare for the ending of something so that you could start something new. And, I think it's very good for us to make changes every once in a while. Sometimes people cut their hair, people shave their head, people change the color of their hair, but it's something that's different and it gives you a new mindset. Buying new clothes, wearing new clothes, all those things kind of give you a small little shift. But I hope it's something that if you guys are struggling with something in your mind or your heart, sometimes it's good to just make a major shift in your life. And it does make a big change, right? At least for that small moment. Right? Even when you move to another country, they say it takes about 6 months for you to adjust to that country. Well, especially if it's a foreign country you've never been to before, it takes about 6 months because of culture shock and all the different other things that you don't know about that country. And they usually say like the first month is like heaven because everything's so new and you're excited. And it kind of gives you that new shift, like, wow, I'm in a new place, this, and this. And then as you change, you're able to do things again like you didn't do before, or you're able to make a shift in your mentality, mindset, and your actions too. So that is a big, I think that's something that a lot of us can think about also. And, if I be super honest with you too, I'm a bit anxious going back, right? It's, once again, another big change. And I think it's particularly because I'm older, I think, right? It's not because of old age, but when people told me when you get older, the less you like change, I'm kind of starting to realize what that actually means. Right? Like the older you get, the more routine you have. Routine is for things that are not as important. Now, that's the type of routines we want. It's not as important. Doesn't really make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. I don't have the newest phone. I have a routine with that phone, and it's fine. It's good enough for me. Right? Like I think more so, we like the routine and the things that are less meaningful. And it's not because we just want to stay the same, never change. It's more if we don't want to waste energy on simple things, but rather use that energy towards more meaningful things, And I think that's kind of my feeling right now as I'm aging more and more. Like, of course, I'm not old. At 44 is not very old, but it's kind of the feeling I've been getting, as weird as that sounds, right? I had this great conversation. So, I'm meeting a lot of people before I leave, and one of the big questions that came up is the maturation of leaders. Not maturity of leaders, but maturation, meaning leaders, as we grow more and more, like head leaders, assistant leaders, HQ, whatever it is, one of the big things that I think I saw as a problem for myself and when I was leading too, is having the understanding towards like people in the career department, people who are in jobs, right? Being, I think it has to do with just maturation of a leader, understanding the career department and what they are actually preparing for, right? And of course, in the past, there's always that big push. It's like, oh, we're in the time where the man in mission is living. We all have to run and do this. And the answer is no, everyone doesn't have to run the same way. Everyone can run in a different way. And a lot of people in career, you want them, I think one of the big things we should be doing is encouraging them to get promotions, encouraging them to do well at work, because that's a huge thing for that. It's a big thing for Providence too, is if you have a lot of professionals there, right? Not everyone's going to run full time, and they shouldn't all be running full time, right? Everyone is contributing in a different way, but sometimes I feel like this is for myself too. When I look back when I was in leadership, is we only recognize one group of people, which are those that are running full time for the church, right? And kind of even for me as I was a head leader and such, it only really dawned on me and made me look more deeply when I stopped head leading. When I looked back at myself and I said, "Oh, I shouldn't have done it like that," right? And I think we all have to kind of reach, like leadership in general has to reach a certain level of maturity in all of the churches, right? Not everyone's going to be running full time, and that's okay. Not everyone's going to be running the same way, and that's okay. And everyone doesn't have to contribute the exact same way. Yeah, of course, yes, we have to run hard and do things while Sunseam is alive and such, but, right, we need to be able to encourage people to do well in their own areas, right? those who work, be the best in your work. We need the doctors, the lawyers, the engineers, the CEOs, the managers, the salespeople, the sales reps, all these people. We need all of them. Highly skilled members of the church, right? Imagine you're a parent with like 4 children. Do you really think you can go on campus and evangelize and stuff? No way. It doesn't work that way. Everyone has their work in their own areas. And I think this is something that we have to really look at, as not everyone's going to run like a full-time person, and they shouldn't, right? When I was younger, it was all about run, run, run. People didn't care about grades. I didn't care about grades, right? I didn't care about money. I didn't care about what I just ran, right? And what happens is indirectly, it makes people feel like they're not good enough if they're not running the same way as I am, right? But I do remember Sunsim gave a couple of examples. He says that, there's 3 people, right? One person is a lecturer, one person is the driver, driving the lecturer to the lecture, and one person is paying for the gas for the car, right? So who's the evangelist? And it's all 3 of them. But if you look at the way Sunsim put it, they are 3 different levels of evangelists. Not levels, but 3 different areas of evangelism, right? Because if you're working full-time, what? You're going to work full-time and then right after you get off work, you go straight to the campus and event? That doesn't make any sense, right? Some people might want to do it, but you can't do it for the rest of your life, especially if, later you're going to have a family too. The lecturer is the one that's working full-time, right? The driver is not really the full-timer, but there's someone who's able to support and aid the full-timer. And they're not full-time, they're probably part-timer. And then the person providing the gas is the one who's, a career department or a family member that's helping out in the financial way, right? And it does affect people. If we understand this really well, then we can allow people to feel comfortable in their area, that there's no one person better than the other, right? Because if everyone was full-time, we'd never have a church. There'd be no money, right? If everyone was just a part-timer, then in the same way too, we probably never have a church too, right? So, and we'll never have people who are running full-time so that the church can actually grow even better. Right, so I like that. I like that analogy that Sunsim used. Another one that he used was talking about soccer. Right, he's talking about the national team, and he's like, think about this: national teams for the entire country. The whole country's behind that team, but only 11 people are on the field. Only the best of the best are allowed on the field. Right. So does that mean only 11 people are participating? No, because there's subs. Subs are the ones kind of waiting in line to get in the game just in case something happens. And then you have the coaches and trainers. But where are the majority of people on that team? They're in the stands. It's the entire country. They're the ones cheering in the stands who play a role also. And when it comes to us too, what kind of a soccer team is without fans, right? The soccer team wouldn't exist because there's no revenue coming in because no one's watching it. No one's paying any money, right? What happens if there's no coaches and the team won't be that good? What happens if there's no players? Then, even if you have the fans and the coaching, you can't even get a team out there. So, there's so many different levels on how we contribute to the church. And I would have to say one thing that I think is something that's really, really important for us to think about also is, I think sometimes our focus is way too much on ministry. Of course it's important, but that's external growth. Evangelizing people from the outside so our church grows. I think it's looked on too highly. I think one of the biggest things that we don't do well is internal growth. Which means, do we have programs? Do we have things available for people inside the church to grow? Right? And we might think to ourselves, just go evangelize. You'll grow through evangelism. And the answer is, yes, you do grow through evangelism, but not put it this way. The average is 10% of the people in the church are actually running to literally directly go and grow the church by meeting people, evangelizing them, teaching them stuff like that too, right? So then are you saying that if the best way to grow is to go out and evangelize, but what about the 90% of the church that have jobs, that have families, and they can't really do those things? Are you saying that they can't grow? And we're actually neglecting 90% of our churches, right? We think about it, we're neglecting 90%. I think we should celebrate when someone gets a promotion. I think we should celebrate when someone gets a better job. I think we should celebrate when there's great things happening where, if you have like all these elites and people who are doing great in their jobs and they're great testaments for our churches, this is all helping the history of God, right? And, we just a great conversation I had with a friend here. And I think both that friend of mine, that friend and myself, we both ran full-time. We both ran as head leaders too. And, that person's working and I'm like working and doing, different, other different things too. But we realize much more deeply after the fact. And I think that's something that just us as churches have to think about more deeply. Like, we have to think about what is happening right now in this history. So it was a very, very interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it. I love meeting with people just talking about what we can do for the future and the things that we can change. And if you guys have any other things that you have on your mind, go ahead and leave in the comments below. Would love to hear that too. Today, Provi in the media, we are going to talk about a study that was done on Shincheonji in South Korea. Obviously, we know about them, and how what the society in Korea is like and what happened to them because of that. And I think it's very, very interesting. I do think it's very, very interesting how the Korean society is different than most other countries. Even like their closest rival, which is Japan, is much, much different than them also. So I'm going to go into that article too. That study that was done. And, we had a poll starting out yesterday talking about do you trust mainstream media? And it is the vast majority, 67% say they're cautious, listen, but don't believe everything. That's 67%. And then I lean towards not trusting the media is 22%. And then 8% is I don't trust media because it is totally biased. And last is 2% is absolutely, they definitely speak unbiased truth, right? So I'm not sure which media they're listening to, but the ones that I listen to are totally biased and totally that narrative's running too. And it's like, even for me, listening to news about America, I don't listen to news about America from America. I actually go to foreign countries to get my news on America because it's a lot more unbiased. As strange as that sounds. I'll look at newspapers from other countries just to look at what the U.S. is doing. So I find that quite funny. But guys, go ahead. That poll is still up. Go ahead and check out that poll. See if it's something that that you want to take a look at also. Or just go ahead and do it. Contribute. All right. So let's get into today's some music from member artists from around the world. And we're going to start off with our feature artist of the day, which is none other than the Sumney Boys with the song Facepalm. And if you know this song, this was written because they went to Wonmyeongdong and they wanted to perform in front of Sunsteam. And when they had the chance to perform, they were introduced and then they froze. And they just sat there like looking at him and they couldn't say anything. And then when everything was done, they gave themselves a face palm. Like, why didn't we say anything? What's wrong with us kind of thing? So that's where this song comes from. The second song is Diamond from Tecmo Plus over there in Japan. And that last song, really, really movie-inspiring song. This is Youngse from South Africa with I'm Proud of Us.
I was sitting on the ground, few feet across from you. Then my brain shut down. Who am I? Oh no, I wrote all the things I wanted to say, but my tongue went hiding in, ran away. Oh no, now you're looking at me like I'm somebody crazy. Swear I'm just a normal person. Okay, maybe I have all your pictures on my wall in my room, my telephone, my bathroom, on my mama too. Oh, I wish it was easy to tell you my feelings. I don't want you looking at me like I'm silly. I'm so down when you give cold shoulder to me. I get excited when you always call out to me. What you feel about that? All the times I've been, don't say what I feel, give myself a face palm. Should I say something? I don't know, man. What should I do? I just want you to know me, want you to notice me. There's a lot on my mind, but this process is so slowly. I had to sit back down, I couldn't really even think.
I felt so stupid. I was just looking at you and you was looking at me like, dang, I really just lost my chance. Lost to a poem with a snack in my hand. I was just so down, man, I felt like a clown. Couldn't even let it go that I frozen up again. Felt like I failed, but I'm never giving up. Took a big L and I didn't come with clutch. It's something about you that gets me all stuck. You made me so nervous, like I wish it was easy to tell you my feelings. I don't want you looking at me like I'm silly.
I'm so down when you give cold shoulder to me. I get excited when you always call out to me. What you feel about that? All the times I've been, don't say what I feel, give myself a face palm. I'm so down when you give cold shoulder to me. I get excited when you always call out to me. What you feel about that? All the times I've been, don't say what I feel, give myself a face palm.
I can do it again.
Give myself a face palm.
Next time we'll work, it will be different.
Give myself a face palm.
I wish I can do it again.
Give myself a face palm.
Next time we'll work, it will be different.
Give myself a face palm.
I wish I can do it again. Maybe next time we'll work, it will be different. I wanna tell you what I've been holding in. Maybe next time we'll work, it will be different. Face, palm, face.
Give myself a
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 It's been a long year, but I'm still here. Feels like a long time, had a lot on my mind. And every ghost that haunted me, in His name I overcame. And I know there were things I wanted to show. There were promises I couldn't keep. And there were times I didn't feel the fire. But I am here, so I'm proud of me. You've been holding on, dear, and you're still here. It was a tough fight, many nights with tears. You managed to smile through your fears, and with His words you overcame. There were times you thought you would never change, but I saw how you started, and you're not the same. And I know there were things you wanted to show. There were promises you couldn't keep. There were times you didn't feel the fire. But you are here, so I'm proud of you. There were days I thought this world's too cold, but the vision we have never gets old. The dreams of 1,000 years should be told. The dreams of God should be told. And I know there were things we wanted to show. There were promises we couldn't keep. You have regrets, I have them too. But the purpose we're holding on to, yeah, the purpose we're holding on cut out to do.
And that was Youngse from South Africa with that very moving song, I'm Proud of Us. Before that was Tecmo Plus from Japan with the song Diamond. And of course, feature artist of the day, that is the Sumney Boys from America with the song Facepalm. All right, so now that we've listened to the music, let's get into some news going on around the world. And of course, as brides of this history and knowing the power of our prayers, we need to pray pray and repent for the entire world, but we need to know what's going on. All right, so first, let's start off what's going on with China and South Korea, as China lodges complaints over South Korean president's Taiwan comments. China's vice foreign minister rejects Yoon Suk-yeol declaring Taiwan a global issue comparable to North Korea. Chinese vice foreign minister Sun Weidong has lodged a complaint with South Korea's ambassador to Beijing over erroneous remarks by the South Korean president about Taiwan, China's foreign ministry says. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol remarks were totally unacceptable, Sun told the ambassador, and he also expressed strong dissatisfaction, according to a Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs statement. The diplomatic dispute between Beijing and Seoul stems from a recent interview with the Reuters news agency, during which Yoon said increased tension around Taiwan was due to attempts to change the status quo by force, and that he opposed attempts to do so. The South Korean leader also said the dispute between China and Taiwan was now a global issue. The Taiwan issue is not simply an issue between China and Taiwan, but like the issue of North Korea, it is a global issue, he told Reuters, and China strongly rejected any comparison between the issue of Taiwan and North Korea, officials said. Sun's complaint followed criticism from the Chinese Foreign Ministry last week that South Korea should prudently handle matters related to Taiwan. Seoul hit back by summoning China's ambassador to protest against Beijing's remarks, which it described as a serious diplomatic discourtesy. China's protest came ahead of Yoon's state visit to the United States, South Korea's foremost ally. Beijing has long criticized the U.S. for arming Taiwan and has increasingly accused Washington of encouraging pro-independence politicians on the self-ruled island. So, this just kind of hints of what is to come with China, not only with Taiwan, but we're looking at with their support for Russia and stuff like that too. So this is going to get quite interesting. In second news, tensions rise after Azerbaijan blocks land route from Armenia. Azerbaijan says it has set up a checkpoint on the only land route to the contested region of Nagorno-Karabakh. Azerbaijan has said it has established a checkpoint on the only land route to the contested region of Nagorno-Karabakh, a step that was followed by claims of border shootings by both Azeri and Armenian forces. Nagorno-Karabakh is internationally recognized as part of Azerbaijan, but its 120,000 inhabitants are predominantly ethnic Armenians, and the region broke away from Baku in a war in the early 1990s. Azerbaijan said on Sunday that it had established a checkpoint on the road leading to Karabakh, saying the move was essential due to what it cast as Armenia's use of the road to transport weapons. Right? So, providing they said that Azerbaijan said they took appropriate measures to establish control at the starting point of the road, and providing border security as well as ensuring safe travel on the road is the prerogative of the government of Azerbaijan and an essential prerequisite for national security, state sovereignty, and the rule of law. Here's something that's very, very interesting. Armenia. One thing that I found that was quite interesting. Armenia. Do you guys know that Armenia is the first Christian country in the world? Like, they're the first ever to declare their entire country as Christian. Yeah, they're number one, which is quite interesting. But there's been constant fighting. We heard about the fighting happening last year, too, between Armenia and Azerbaijan also. And let's really pray that this kind of tension doesn't rise to the point it goes back to fighting again. Okay. Last but not least, we'll go to the Sudan fighting, which is now in its 9th day. And here are the list of some key events that have happened. Well, you have refugees fleeing to Chad. Looters take the UN aid trucks, and several countries evacuate embassy staff during heavy fighting. The UN said more than 400 people have been killed and more than 3,500 injured in the fighting. Thousands of people are fleeing Khartoum and the western region of Darfur to seek refuge in neighboring Chad. Widespread food, water, and electricity shortages continue, and the Central Committee of Sudanese Doctors and Sudan's Doctors Union estimated that nearly 70% 39 out of 59 hospitals in Khartoum and nearby states have closed. Internet service is nearly entirely down in Sudan, according to the organization NetBlock. So that is the current situation that we've seen so far over the last 9-10 days over there in Sudan. And that's another thing we really need to be praying for also. So that's the top 3 news going on around the world. So let's get into some sporting news, all right? So NBA playoffs, yes, it is going on right now. And first game was probably the best game. By far, it was the best game. It was the Golden State Warriors versus the Sacramento Kings. Sacramento is up 2-1, but man, crazy game. Golden State wins by 1 point, 126 to 125, as Harrison Barnes misses a 3-pointer to win the game against he plays for Sacramento. Curry had 32, Thompson 26, and Jordan Poole had 22 points. So that was quite awesome to see. Cleveland beats New York Knicks beat Cleveland 102-93, which means they are up 3-1 over Cleveland. This could be their first series in like 15 years that they've actually won. Boston Celtics defeat the Atlanta Hawks 129-121. Celtics are now in command with a 3-1 lead. And the final game, it was overtime. It was basically do or die for Minnesota. Minnesota defeats Denver in overtime 114-108. And Nuggets still lead the series 3-1. In soccer, Manchester United's mental tenacity lifts them to FA Cup final. Basically, 2 Manchester rivals will face off for the first time in the final of an FA Cup. So it's Man U versus Man City. And Man City, they have a chance to win the treble. So that's going to be quite awesome if they can do that this year too. Man U advanced against Brighton with 7-6 on penalty shots. So that was quite awesome too. I wish I watched that game live. And then also on the other side, it was Tottenham just wiped by Newcastle 6-1. Basically, in the first 21 minutes, there were 5 goals scored by Newcastle. It wasn't even close. They just rooted them. And this was, a game billed as a crucial 6-pointer in the race to secure Champions League qualification. And it was over within the first 10 minutes. It was just over, right? Tottenham is now, Newcastle moves up to 3rd, and Tottenham, I believe they're in like 6th, 5th or 6th. So let's see what happens there. They, of course, all of them want to reach the Champions League for next season. Last but not least, we'll look at some tennis as Carlos Alcaraz, he's the first person to repeat as Barcelona Open champion for the first time since Nadal. Right, so he comfortable win 6-3, 6-4 over Stefano Tsitsipas on Sunday, securing his 3rd title of the year and 9th of his impressive young career. Only 19 years old, guys. So he's doing awesome. He won his last 14 tour matches on Spanish soil, and he is now 10-1 in the Barcelona Open. And he is now ranked number 2 in the world in tennis. All right, so there's, guys, top 3 news around the world and in sports. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. But you know what that means. It is the golden time. And yes, it is the golden time, a time of praise and worship to the Holy Trinity. Hope all of you guys are looking forward to giving glory to God and the Holy Spirit. So, what are we going to praise and worship today? Today we're going to start off with We Are Confident, and then Secretly the Lord Has Come by Surprise, and we'll end things off with The Scops Owl in My Hometown. So as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's spend this time giving praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
Confident, unshaken. We are proud, unwavering. Confident now. We are so proud. Hey, have you caught a vibe by now?
Our clock is ticking, the hands of our clock keep on moving, they never stop. 'Cause we are following the timing of God who is mighty, we don't stop.
I will do the work I must do. I'm the key to the outcome that I want.
With the truth of the times we run diligently, we're making history. I trust in the power that God's given me. I make myself better every day. Since God is with us, supporting us always, we can never lose while we are on this path. No matter what comes our way, whatever may happen now.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now?
Confident Confident, we're confident, yeah, come with me, we'll stand as
We
one.
are proud, unwavering.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident now.
We are proud, unwavering.
We are so proud.
Confident, we're confident, yeah.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now? So what?
No matter what happens, we'll turn tables and we'll climb. Grab the time, fix our minds, fix our contradiction, we will shine. We'll shake it up like a sneeze, say God bless you. If there's obstacles to block our way, we'll step right over. Ha ha. Gain momentum, don't tremble, moving forward, just one more step, and now we're going forward. We're following the tide, we follow the high, we come together, we're stronger. And like heaven, I am established, firm and shaken. And just like the sun, the will of God is never stopping. Like a backpack, God has my back, He's with me, so I'm safe. I'm so confident, I have dignity, whatever it may be. I'm ready to face with energy, battery charged up. I'm set up with the Lord, I'm confident, we're winning. Game, set.
Since God is with us, supporting us always, we can never lose while we are on this path. No matter what comes our way, whatever may happen now.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now? So what?
Confident, we're confident, yeah, doesn't matter what may come.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident, we're confident, yeah, come with me, we'll stand as one.
We are proud, unwavering.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident now.
We are proud, unwavering.
We are so proud.
Confident, we're confident, yeah.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now? So what?
Confident, we're confident, yeah, doesn't matter what may come.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident, we're confident, yeah, come with me, we'll stand as
We
one.
are proud, unwavering.
Confident, unshaken.
Confident now.
We are proud, unwavering.
We are so proud.
Confident, we're confident, yeah.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now?
So what? Yeah, yeah, huh. Since God is with us, we are confident, unshaken. Yeah, yeah, huh. The Holy Spirit is with us, we are proud, unwavering. Since God is with us, we are confident, unshaken. The Holy Spirit is with us, we are proud, unwavering. Since we live by God, we'll do it confidently, confidently, do it confidently.
Hey, have you caught a vibe by now?
So what?
Secretly, yes, come, blink of an eye, secretly, in the blink of an eye, secretly, He's come. When I heard His word, I changed, though I wavered, now my mind's made up, my heart was filled with joy, and my eyes welled up with tears. I have found the fire of first love again. With one glance, the Lord has taken hold of me. My heart is His completely. The voice I heard that day, I simply cannot explain. I wanna see Him again and again. I'll lay down my thoughts and I will follow Him. Secretly, your Lord came with the word. I love Him truly, truly I love the Lord. Oh, I love Him who's come secretly. Secretly, yes, come, blink of an eye, secretly, in the blink of an eye, secretly, yes, come, blink of an eye, secretly, in the blink of an eye. One glance, the Lord has taken hold of me. My heart is His completely. The voice I heard that day, I simply cannot explain. I yes, come, yes, come, blink of an eye, blink of an eye. Secretly in the blink of an eye. Secretly, yes, come, yes, come, blink of an eye, blink of an eye. Secretly in the blink of an eye.
In my hometown, hear the scops out, hooting, hooting, crying all night, sorrowful, haunting. Hear the reply, cuckoo, cuckoo. Why do they cry out? What do they say? Suffering out in the wind, through the snowstorms and the rainstorms, all those years of struggling. History now has bloomed, God's will has come true so abundantly. So for this the cuckoo and the owl cried out all those years. Human clouds gather from all across the world the whole year round. Walmyangdong fills and overflows as the brides come. History where the flowers bloom and the fruit is so lovely. Glory to our God, and on earth true peace. Here we all rapture through love in this ideal world. History where the flowers bloom and the fruit is so lovely. Glory to our God, and on earth true peace. Here we all rapture through love in this ideal
And that is a favorite of mine. That is Scops Owl in my hometown. Before that, Secret of the Lord has come by surprise, and we are confident. All right, so now that our hearts are made ready through that time of praise and worship, let's get into today's practical word study. And a lot of people look forward to this because we just want to get some more insight, or how do we put the words of God into practice, especially for this week, as we had two key messages. The first had to do with do not stumble on account of me, and the second one was you will be judged according to your deeds, and when the person, the man on mission comes, you are treated according to the way you treat the one that was sent, right? So let's get into some word studies, and there's these two big points that I want to make today for the word study. And that first point, it comes from the John the Baptist, the related missions lesson, which is one of my favorite lessons. It says, do not stumble on account of me. That's from Matthew chapter 11, verse 6. Right? And this is where John when John was in prison, he sent his disciples to ask Jesus, are you really the Messiah, or should we wait for someone else, right? And what does it mean to do not stumble on account of me? And when you go into the related missions lesson, this is a very key point. It's a big key point because you begin to focus too much on the physical and you forget the spiritual. So what does this mean? So what we see, like the first part of the practical word study I want to talk about is think about your life right now, right? How different it is. And it's interesting because we are affected by what we physically see, right? And a lot of times when Jesus was there were the physical things, looking at Jesus, his actions, what he was doing, it really stopped people from understanding who he was properly. Right? So when the man on mission comes, if we're not spiritual and we only see things physically, then it's very difficult to judge properly, and there's a lot of misunderstandings that is going to happen. Right? So let's take a look at John the Baptist. When John the Baptist began his ministry, the interesting part is this was the point before, like he was even saying stuff before he actually met Jesus. John the Baptist in the beginning kept saying, repent, the Lamb of God, the Son of God is here. And he had absolute strong faith in Jesus. And this is, he started preaching even before he baptized him. Now, one thing that's quite interesting that I would say is sometimes it's more powerful not to see because you don't have to deal with the physical, right? Because there's limitations from the physical human body. So let me give you a couple of examples. Look at Christianity today. Right? Their undying belief in Jesus, it's absolute. No one can say anything about it. Now, do you think that you're going to say something bad about Jesus and all of a sudden everyone's going to be like, oh, I don't believe in Jesus anymore. Oh, I'm stumbling. My faith is weak. It's actually impossible. When you don't see, the mind works differently because you are not seeing the Messiah. You're not seeing Jesus. You're only thinking about. And when you think about Jesus, what thoughts come to mind? You're thinking the Messiah. And your thoughts go according to what you feel or think about the Messiah, right? The feeling of the Messiah is mystical. It is legendary. There's like a lot of myth and lore, the stories and legends that are told of the miracles and the healings. But when you read the Bible and when you read the Gospels carefully, you're going to find other parts there that if you were there physically, I think you would have a hard time. Imagine you're sitting next to Jesus and you believe he is the Messiah, and then you hear his family talk down to him. Like that's in John chapter 7, verse 1 through 7. They're kind of mocking Jesus, who is the Messiah. It's like, come on, man. Don't just stay home. Go out and preach the gospel. And then verse 7, it says, not even his own family believed in him. Can you imagine if you were watching that? You'd be like, what? How can they say that? And then it would affect your mind. If you go a little bit further, John chapter 7, verse 12, even amongst the crowd, there were whispers that some people say Jesus was a great man, but others saying that Jesus was deceiving them. So these rumors are floating around too. You go all the way to John chapter 8, verse 59, right? Jesus was about to get stoned, right? He was about to get stoned because he says, I am, right? Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. And then the Pharisees and the leaders picked up stones to stone him. But then imagine you look at Jesus and what happens? But he hid among the crowds and slipped away. So he basically ran away. Imagine seeing that. Would you be like, wait, aren't you supposed to be the powerful, like the Messiah who can do all these great things, but here you are running away from the Pharisees and Sadducees? One example I always like to use is when Jesus cleared the temple courts. Matthew 21, verse 12. Overturns the tables, threw the money around, drove the animals out. He wouldn't even allow anyone to carry merchandise across the temple court. Now, if you were like, these are just 4 examples that I'm citing. Imagine you were a disciple right next to Jesus when he was clearing the temple court. How would you feel? Like, oh my gosh, what are you doing, Jesus? Jesus, what are you doing? What? And he's turning over tables. Here's the Messiah, that legend, the mythical, the Messiah. He's the man of God. And he's turning tables and just telling me, you cannot take merchandise across this temple court. What would you be feeling? You'd be like, oh, Jesus, the man, he's the Son of God. And then he slips away from the Pharisees who are trying to stone him. Some might be embarrassed. Some might be shocked. Some might not be as confident. If you were actually there. And if we want to experience what it's like to live at the time when the man in mission is there, when you look at today too, you need to understand it's not easy. It's actually easier now. Why? Everyone accepts Christianity. It's easily accepted in like almost the entire world. You can say Jesus and not get stoned. You can say Jesus and not be killed in the majority of this world. It's so easy. People are going to respect what you feel and think. But if you really want to know what it feels like, look what's happening right now. Imagine when you hear about Sunseem's life, imagine he's not living anymore, but the things you hear is, all the miracles, all the healing, all the signs, all the answered prayers, so many things. We got these churches out, this happened, he stopped the war, and you listen like, whoa, who is this person? And when the man of mission, that myth, like when you don't actually see him physically and that lore, that mythical, legendary, mystical like feeling comes out, what do people say today about Jesus dying on the cross? They're not going to say, what? He was convicted and what? He died the worst death of a criminal? Oh my, no, it's different. It's totally different. And this is why you can't look at the person sent by God and stumble from the human aspect. And what does that mean? Do not stumble on account of me. Right? Yeah. It's looking at the man of mission, the people sent by God, and they're human, right? And you're going to see the human aspects of them. That's why, one time I heard a story in Japan where someone began to doubt because they were in the bathroom doing a number 1, and then Sunseem walks in and does a number 1 right next to him, and they stumbled. Can you? What? He's taking a pee. Tell me that's crazy. That's why you probably want privacy. That's why I say, Sunseem, just don't even bother with this. Just have your own toilet and everything else like that. But the other part of it, what does it mean to look at, don't stumble on account of me as the human, also means that the way we judge him, what if we base it on our human judgment, the way humans would judge, right? And how do you know what it means to judge as a human being? Well, just look at how things are right now. When people don't know the spiritual, when people don't know the word, the way they see things is very different from the way we see things. Can't help it. It's just different. So what should it be based on? Well, it should be based on the one thing that matters more and the one thing that will last. It's going to last even longer than like look at Jesus. His body died in 3 years of ministry, but what lasted? Heaven and earth shall pass, but my words will never pass, and that's the key. It's all on the words of the time period. That's where the key essence of all things are. Right? When we hear the words, what made us change our life? What made us think to ourselves, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I have to live a better life. What made us, like some of us coming from the former faith, and made us change and switch churches? It was all about the word. What gave us the Holy Spirit? The word. It wasn't any person. That's why when some people ask me, well, what about KJS doing the Holy Spirit movement? Hey, I'm not doubting that when she was in the right mind, that, wow, this is where the Holy Spirit worked through her. And how did the Holy Spirit work through her? It was through the word. Whenever we hear the words, right, the man of mission receives the words first, puts it into action, and then preaches it. And this is how we know that when he preaches it, it's real, because he talks about his experience. How did I realize the word? He has to do it first and then show us how. When we hear the words of the time period, what happens when we hear the words? It reaches the point where we realize, wow, this is the history of God. And when we realize it's the history of God, this is when we can overcome tribulations and difficulties. The problem happens is, as we go through our life of faith, sometimes we go through dips and valleys. Sometimes we have these mountainous problems, these mountainous moments, and these seasons, the valley seasons, right? And when we go through those times, yeah, sometimes we become more physical. We start to see things in a different way. But when you remember the word, that is the thing that brings us back to, how did I get here? And it brings us back to, yeah, this is why I believe. This is why I'm here at this time. We know that when you hear the words, every person, when we talk to them, every person I talk to, when they hear the words, are like, whoa, it's so crazy. I can't believe the words. Oh, they give all the answers. Man, I've never been so inspired. I've never been so moved. I've never felt the Holy Spirit more than I feel right now. Man, it's so good. And that's the thing that brings us there. To look at the person, do not stumble on account of me, is to look at the physical, right? To focus on the word is what brings us to the spiritual. And this is why we have to reset our hearts, reset our minds. What does that mean? Reset your heart and mind to look towards the spiritual once again. Don't be caught off guard in the physical mindset and say, oh, but what about this? Oh, like, there are some things that I disagree with Providence. Like, not the actual word or doctrine. It's just sometimes it has to do with leadership. We got to grow in leadership. We need to grow in organizational structure. We need to grow in these types of, and though, yeah, those are regular things that anyone can agree with, but that's not disagreeing with the core of Providence. It's still Providence. It's just, we got to grow. We got to become more scalable. We got to be able to deal with issues and problems better. We got to deal with marriages better. Like when people have marital issues, we need people who are qualified to deal with marital issues, right? Like, there's a ton of things that I not disagree, but I do think we can do a lot better. I do. But it's nothing against the core of Providence. It's just we can do things a lot better than we do right now, right? But if we start to look too physical, then you're going to start to think, well, if this isn't right, if this organization isn't right like this, and if we don't have the right system here, then this is not the history of God. That is looking at things physically. That's totally physically, right? Looking at things physically is if you came to this history at the very beginning and there's only 3 people in a small hut, and you'd say, oh, this can't be the history of God. Why? Because it started in a small hut. That's looking at things physically. Oh, this can't be the history of God because who is this dude from the countryside, right? Doesn't even look that great. I can't even understand what he's saying. That's physical. We're lucky that we're not even at that point. We're at such a better point right now than it was 30, 40 years ago. It's so much better right now. We are growing. We are getting more mature as an organization. But we have to always reset our hearts, reset our minds, and look back to the original reason why we came. It was for the word. And this is why, even when the man of mission dies, we don't die because the word remains. We continue. And that's something that we have to understand at a much, much deeper level. Do not stumble on account of me. We're living in one of the most difficult times because, yes, there's a blessing when the man of mission is actually living. There's a blessing for that, but it's also very difficult at the same time. I can't imagine what it was like for the disciples living at that time, how much scrutiny they were going through, how many people were against them, bullying them, and telling them that they were wrong and saying they're deceived. All these rumors were everywhere. Probably rumors about Peter and James and John. They were everywhere. And this is something that we have to think about also, is we're living in that time. And because we're living in that time, it's more difficult. And that's why our hearts have to always be reset by the word. I think that's one of the big things I liked about praying 7 times a day, like every 3 hours, is you always get to reset yourself to where you should be spiritually. Understanding, get my mind on the right focus. And once you do that, then you kind of clear your mind a bit and you bring yourself back into the spiritual reasoning, right? That's what faith is. And I think a lot of times we have to look at ourselves and think to ourselves as, what am I looking at too physically? Like, imagine Jesus said that to you, don't stumble on account of me. Look at the time period right now and what are you stumbling on account of him? What are you stumbling? Right? Being convicted, Jesus was convicted too. Going to court, Jesus went to court too. Being hated by like the majority of the country, Jesus, exact same thing. It's not any different. You got to reset yourself, right? Do not stumble on account of me. The physical is the hardest part. And this is why we must be even more spiritual than we were before. And if we can understand this, what's going to happen is we're going to be able to constantly reset ourselves back into the spiritual so that we don't stumble on account of him, right? So I hope that's something that you guys can kind of reflect on yourself. Like, what are the things that I need to do to bring myself back to the spiritual point, right? So I don't stumble on account of the physical things. Yeah, like I said, man, it's lucky for those. Like say in the former faith, so easy because the body's not here anymore. It's all like the stories and things that we hear, and we know the final result in Messiah and the someone who comes to save, and we only think about those things. And even when we read the Bible, when the bad things are there, it's okay. Doesn't affect us either way. Okay. So there it is, guys. That is a practical word study for today. I hope it's something that makes you think a lot more deeply about this week's word too. All right. So let's get into the song of choice for today. And I found this brand new group called House Fires. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of them. They're probably from the same church, or they could be just a music group. But this is a great song. It's called All Over Again, like falling in love with him all over again, right? So this is House Fires with All Over Again.
All over again.
This is an old love and a new love. This is an old love but a new love. This is an old love but a new love. Old love but a new love. You are an old love but a new love. You knew every day. You are an old love but a new love. You are an old love but a new love. You make yourself new to me every day in ordinary ways. You're an old love but a new love. An old love but a new love. And it blows my mind. It blows my mind. You blow my mind, Jesus. I keep looking, find something new every time, every time. How can an old love be a new love? How can an old love be a new love? How can an old love be a new love? You blow my mind, Jesus. You blow my mind, Jesus. Reintroduce yourself to me. 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 Old love be a new love. How can an old love be a new love? How can an old love be a new love? How can an old love be a new love? How can an old love be a new love? How can an old love be a new love? Reintroduce yourself to me. Love Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus. I have a friend. I have a love in Jesus.
I feel like in this season of my life, at least, it's like an old love, but it's a new love. You know, like that. So you can't make old friends. You can't make new old friends. You can't make old friends. And that's what Jesus is like to me. This homie who's just been with me through the struggle since the very beginning, and I feel like I'm just learning more about his hominess, his friendship, you know, like really how much of a friend and how close he really is. He knows it all. He's seen you as a baby, he's seen your parents as a baby. He has grace over our life in ways that sometimes we forget, you know? And sometimes it takes really hard things and things to make you question who God is for you to understand who he really is. Sometimes you gotta question him so that you really find out his goodness. If you're not questioning his goodness, I think, you gotta switch the conversation up. Unless you know, sometimes you're just in that season, like God is good, but then there's some seasons you're like, can you really cover this? Can you really do it again? And he does every time. And I feel like we have to keep that in the relationship. I have to keep on discovering, just like my wife, just like my kids, just like my friends. You got to be rediscovering. And so that's my prayer for these nights. My prayer for my life is just, Jesus, never let me think that I have it, Never let me think that I know really, keep me on my toes.
Introduce yourself to me. Reintroduce yourself to me.
And what a great song that is from House Fires, and that song is called All Over Again. All right. So let's get into today's Provi in the media. And today I want to do kind of a little special segment that kind of shows you the climate and society, the culture of South Korea when it comes to religious things. Right? And, I wanted to go over something that's already completed and done. Like what we're going through right now is not finished yet, right? We're still, the trial's still going on. But I want to show you another new religious movement. We all know them, Shincheonji, and how they were treated and knowing what the actual truth actually was, right? And you can get an idea of the type of society, culture that we're dealing with. And this will kind of help you to see why the public opinion rages so strongly and why there is, why the media works in the way that it does too. All right. So this is going to be an article that was written. 1 second. Let me just grab this beginning point of this article. This is Report to the United Nations General Assembly on Eliminating Intolerance and Discrimination Based on Religion or Belief and the Achievement of Sustainable Development Goal. All right. So this is about violence and discrimination against members of Shincheonji in South Korea. Okay, so it's very, very, very interesting just to see what they're going through. And you're going to see the parallels that these are, a lot of these things are already happening to people in Providence and Korea too. All right. So let's get into this special report to the UN General Assembly about religious freedom, especially the discrimination that's happening to Shincheonji. Okay. So here's the introduction. It says, we are NGOs specialized in defending religious liberty and scholarly organizations promoting research on new religious movements. We are concerned about discrimination against a Christian new religious movement known as Shincheonji in South Korea. And this is based on evidence from papers written by Massimo Intervigne in 2019-2020, right? But this, remember, it's an official document given to the UN. And there are two specific areas of concern. One, violence and forced conversion, which is deprogramming. And the other is discrimination of Shincheonji members within the context of the COVID-19 epidemic. All right? So let's get into the report. It says, in South Korea, a strong opposition to Shincheonji exists, fueled by fundamentalist and conservative Christian churches. So there's a big point. It is fueled by fundamentalist and conservative Christian churches who accuse the movement of heresy and sheep stealing, and have often resorted to violence against it. Shincheonji has indeed a peculiar theology and identifies its leader with the promised pastor of the Christian book of Revelation, who will lead humans into the millennium and imminent kingdom of peace without suffering and death. Such millenarian movements are often unpopular with other Christians, particularly when, as it is the case with Shincheonji, they grow rapidly by converting members of other Christian churches. Now, theological criticism should not, however, lead to discrimination and violence. In South Korea, young women and men are being kidnapped by their parents, detained, and submitted to pressure and violence to abandon their religion and be forcibly converted back to the faith of their parents. In general, a conservative form of Protestantism. So you see where the issue is kind of stemming here, how desperate it gets because of the fundamentalist and conservative forms of Protestantism in Korea. In democratic countries, deprogramming currently survives only in South Korea. We talked about this before, which is quite shocking. With thousands of cases, victims are abducted and confined by the parents and deprogrammed by Protestant pastors who work as professional deprogrammers. A dozen of groups labeled by their opponents as cults are victims of deprogramming, but the most targeted, with more than 2,000 cases, is Shincheonji. In 2018, a female Shincheonji member, I believe is a high school student, died as a cause of the second attempt at deprogramming her. After the first had failed, she tried to escape. Her father bound and gagged her, causing her to suffocate and die. And as a result of this, members of Shincheonji and other groups took to the streets in massive demonstrations. They said it was about 120,000 people, right? I'm not even sure why South Korea is the only one that has deprogramming. However, deprogramming continues with numerous instances of violence and even attempts to confine abducted Shincheonji members in psychiatric hospitals. In 2019, just in 2019, Shincheonji has documented 72 cases of attempted deprogramming. Now, that's the first one, right? People are trying to... I'm not reading the entire article because it's really long, but deprogramming, there's violence. There's also another one where a husband beat his wife. There's domestic violence because she's in Shincheonji and she fell off the 7th floor and died. So you can see how crazy it is. And there are other forms of discrimination is beaten, violence, being bullied at work or school, and also being fired. Right? And this is because they're in a new religious movement. Now, we move into the next section, which is discrimination within the context of the COVID-19 crisis. So in 2020, February 7th, a female member of Shincheonji from Daegu, South Korea, was hospitalized after a car accident. While in the hospital, she had symptoms of what was identified as a common cold. She insists that nobody mentioned coronavirus as a possibility to her, nor suggested a test. On February 18th, after her symptoms worsened, she was diagnosed with pneumonia. Then she was tested for COVID-19 and found positive, and she was designated as patient 31. And before being diagnosed, she had attended several functions of Shincheonji. And as a result, she became the origin of hundreds of new infection cases, most of them involving fellow members of Shincheonji. Some Korean media, so now here's Korean media, claimed she refused to be tested before, but there is no evidence of this. And patient 18 firmly denies this was the case, right? And there's more on this story too. And it's quite interesting because when you hear in the Korean media and the news, one of the things I found quite shocking is like the media was saying that Shincheonji refused to not have services. But actually, right after they found out about her, they shut down all their churches and had all their services online. But in the media, we were told that, they refused to listen and they were going to have services together no matter what. So there's one of the big things that when the media pops in. February 19th, the president at that time stated that the government needed a full list of members of Shincheonji. So now they want every person's information. National lists were handed in 6 days from the request on February 25th. And due to the widespread opposition against the movement, being identified as a member of Shincheonji it led to being ridiculed, beaten, and losing your job. Because basically, Lee Man-hee, who is the leader of Shincheonji, said, please work with the authorities. So, they had to give their names and stuff. Well, most of the people did, right? And, they were ridiculed, beaten, and they were losing their jobs. And it's not surprising that individual members were reluctant to disclose to their co-workers or employers their membership in Shincheonji. The movement, however, instructed all members to cooperate with the authority and submit to COVID-19 tests. But, think about it. If you're going to lose your job, why would you want to tell them that you're part of it? You get beaten and you lose this is about your family. So it kind of makes sense that they're not going to cooperate even though Shincheonji says to cooperate. Now, the government objected that the list of February 25th included less members than those mentioned in Shincheonji's official statistics. But later on, the large number included foreign members, and Shincheonji had understood that the government needed only data about members in South Korea. So why exactly Korean authorities need to know the names of Shincheonji members in Europe or North America is unclear, but when they asked for the list of foreign members, they received them as well. So this is kind of like government overreach over here already, right? And as for the individual members of Shincheonji who did not volunteer to disclose their affiliation with the movement until the authorities arrived at them through the list and tried to hide it to the bitter end, notwithstanding the movement's instruction call for cooperation, before we judge their behavior, one should consider that they were risking their jobs, right? That's something that we have to think about. Yeah, some people are going to hide it, even if they were told to cooperate. And some of them perhaps their lives, because we know that some people, like we said, that woman was beaten by her husband for being in Shincheonji and she fell off the 7th floor of her building. Another girl died from deprogramming mistakes. So, all this is just the tip of the iceberg. After patient 31, more than 6,000 instances of discriminations against Shincheonji members occurred in South Korea, and the number continues to grow. Being identified as a member of Shincheonji leads to the serious risk of being harassed, bullied, beaten, or fired from your job. In addition, local politicians and hostile media, sometimes relying on false information supplied by disgruntled former members of the movement, went even further, threatening or starting legal actions aimed at stripping Shincheonji and its related but independent charitable and cultural organizations of their legal status, closing its places and worship, and achieving what opponents have not achieved in years of discrimination and violence. Basically, to halt Shincheonji's growth in South Korea. In a document published in March 2020, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, so this is a U.S. Commission, a bipartisan body whose members are appointed by the President of the United States and the congressional leaders of both political parties, noted that Shincheonji was suffering harassment from the South Korean government and society. Although some government measures appeared to be driven by legitimate public health concerns, others appeared to exaggerate the church's role in the coronavirus outbreak. The government of Seoul locked down Shincheonji churches in the capital, and some mainline Protestant groups have accused the church of deliberately spreading the disease. Local prosecutors are investigating criminal charges against Lee Man-hee, the leader, for homicide by willful negligence. And the USCIRF has received reports of individuals encountering discrimination at work and spousal abuse because of their affiliation with the church. And meanwhile, look at this. A petition to ban the church has received more than 1.2 million signatures. So they're just basing it off what they hear in the news and the media and what they see, or they're probably coming from a Protestant church or a more conservative or fundamentalist church, and they're just signing it to get rid of this church, to ban Shincheonji. And despite this, the Vice Minister of Health has publicly stated that the Shincheonji church has cooperated with authorities. And later you'll find out that a lot of the stuff that the media said against Shincheonji and Lee Man-hee, it was actually wrong. And this is why, this was sent to the UN. And this is just kind of like, I'm telling you guys this, the reason we're going over this in Shincheonji, not to say I want you to sympathize, but remember, I talked about this a long time ago, is we're kind of, we are an NRM. We are a new religious movement, just like Shincheonji, just like other places, that in the world that have NRMs. Looking at the way the government and the society treats an NRM, you can see what's going to happen, how they're going to treat us too. And Korea is a very, very, what's that word? They're very extreme. And because they're extreme, that's one thing we have to understand really well. Like, this is the society, and this is what happens in that type of society. Why? Because if you think about, like, say, just coming to America that has religious freedom, if you get fired because you're in Shincheonji, there is a huge lawsuit coming worth millions and millions of dollars. Lawyers will jump all over this because you can't discriminate because of religion, right? So a lot of this is, you got to understand, is we're not dealing with the same American, Western, Canadian, Australian, European society. We are dealing with a society that's very, very different in the religious matter, where Think about it. The only developed country that still has deprogramming where it's banned in every other country because, it just seemed not, it doesn't make any sense, right? So I wanted to go over the study just so you had an idea of the culture that we're dealing with and how, people have their free will as long as they're not hurting other people. But, when you see the manipulation of media and the way that the public opinion is against them, and especially when you look at fundamentalists and Protestant, conservative Protestants who are just not going to like them anyways, right? Because they are an NRM. This is why, you're going to have all these people accusing them and saying all these things because they're stealing members from their church and whatnot. So that is Provi in the media for today. I hope it's something that kind of opens your mind to what the society in Korea is like. And it kind of opens our eyes much better. Okay? So there it is, guys. That is the end of today's Provi in the media and the last section for today's Tuesday podcast. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. I hope you guys have an amazing, awesome day. I'm going to be flying in the air probably by the time you listen to this. So I will see you guys as I record probably in San Francisco after this. All right? Everyone have a wonderful day and see you guys tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like